It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent His messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the messenger, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs, to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of a president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look through our soul, we see nothing but we star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle, which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome everyone to the 85th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace for Tuesday, July 16th, 2019. I'm your host, Rick Crammon, along with Flint Mulhausen. And of course, we will be joined with Carolina Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And she will be present for today's public teaching in English. So I think we're ready to get today's show going here. I understand Carolina may have a rough connection for the first little while here, but we'll see if we can connect with her and get our show going here. Hello, Caroline.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As usual, grab a nice cup of tea or coffee to start this beautiful together on the table and see what will be presented today by so many knowledge seekers and council members and core team and Earth Council if they are present today. Let's hope that we can have our Mission Impossible Mr. Keshe on the table today. So who would like to kickstart a topic today? Anybody, or do we still have to wait till we are all warming up and more people are sitting on the table? Any ideas, Rick, or any of the knowledge seekers?
Well, the attendees are coming in here, and
we're gonna have to give them some more time.
Universal Council is appearing, and so on here.
We have the anniversary coming up of the Universal Council. Not this Friday, but the Friday behind. So it will be the last day of the the trimester. So the Universal Council members are going to be working to finish a nice presentation by next Thursday. And it will be a never-ending document. It will be continuously adjusted and updated and added with the knowledge which we are all gathering together, and then we take from parts which we say, oh, this should go into it. And it's like a direction for people to start understanding where they can reposition themselves with the knowledge they have come about by accident or introduced, or they bumped into the foundation, or they heard it somewhere else. So that will make and create that life-changing direction. And that's why we're all together to work in progress for it. So if anybody has any good ideas or points that they would like to add to that document next week, we welcome the knowledge seekers for the change, for the world peace, to bring the world peace about and how we can achieve it. So we're looking for positive input from the knowledge seekers, from council members who have experienced more information in the last few days, or core team or the Earth Council members. We welcome your input to see where we can integrate it in that beautiful, never-ending document, which will be called the mandate. So, anybody any ideas? Because we can collect them, Rick, on our document from our wishes, and then we can transfer them to the mandate document. Even if it is a wish, even if it is a wish, or it comes like a wish, it is okay. It is acceptable. The time and the place and the date will be noted just like Rick always done, and that will go into that document. Anybody ready?
Hello. Hello. Hello, it's Pia here. I'm out right now, but I could maybe suggest if we look to one of the wishes from March last year, where there was this wish about the education systems, to add the idea that a good way to reach peace is to also work with ourselves, and from the roots from the school systems with our children and educators and teachers and parents. So in this wish there is maybe the start to more talk about this topic.
Yeah, I'm actually not able to access the wish list right now. It's not coming up in the KF Wiki. Something has changed. I'll have to.
Maybe we can bring it up a bit later.
Possibly. Not sure what's
Yeah.
going on with it, but all I get is something called a template when I click on the when I try to edit. So let me see if I can just do it without editing here. Okay, that shows up. So then if I try to edit, okay, that worked. Okay.
It is about when we have all the changes and all the new changes happening with the plasma technology and all what is happening worldwide. We are all in progress, and it's written down from the view that there will be a need for a deeper approach in the school systems where children and parents and educators can work more with how actually to balance yourself and come into your own inherent possibilities as a human being, so we can getting closer to how we actually can achieve balance and how we can achieve peace and how we can make the environment we're living in much better for all of us. So we could start in the school systems too, just to add more of those depths into the school system, that we work with ourselves like this.
Do you remember, was it in 2018 to start with?
Yes, I think it was March. It was the same public workshop as Flint. He has his wish about also the peace wish.
Yeah,
back in
I got
February.
Flint's is in March here. I see.
Oh, March. Okay, yeah.
March 2018, and then there's
okay,
something.
I found yours with the wish for education. So you want to put that down now to revisit that? Is that what you're saying, Pia?
Yeah, I'm just saying, maybe if we look at this wish, if there's a need now, we can talk about it, or just have it in mind when we continue this document for the mandate. So we can formulate more in details from this side.
Okay, I'll put it on the screen here. Okay, do you want to read it, Pia, or shall I?
I think it's best you read it, because I'm home in about 5 minutes and then I can get closer to the mic. But right now I'm on phone, so
okay.
If you please will read it.
Okay, that's fine, thanks.
Thank you.
So it goes like this. I wish for new education systems, programs, and ethics for children, youngsters, educators, teachers, and parents. Their education includes learning programs about self-development with plasma technologies and other tools to work with balance of self, thereby balancing nature and the environment, and learning more in depth about nature, the planet Earth, and the universes, to understand our own souls and to serve humanity. It's from Pia, Denmark, in March 13th, 2018. I am present.
Does anybody know about the khanacademy.org platform?
Academy.org.
Both of my children are learning with that platform, and I'm thinking about if I should become a teacher on that platform for Keshe plasma technology. I did some workshops in Germany when I was there, and I got this certification where I should destroy it now because we will not be certified anymore. But anyway, I'm not sure if anything is known from this organization. I don't have deep insights. I'm just using that platform. So I'm interested in about if anybody else know anything about that educational platform, because it has the primary school, the secondary school, and has also a kindergarten program. So my 3-year-old boy is also learning with it and has a lot of fun. My 13-year-old daughter is learning with it. And the parents will get a weekly overview about what the kid have learned, which video they have looked, which exercises they did, and where they have problems, where they stuck. So you can go to that specific problem and try to solve it together with your kid. And there is a community where you can ask questions and so on. So I think it's a useful platform. And as I know, it's available in several languages. So at least you can, German and English is available. So maybe we can have a look into that.
Yeah, possibly. We'll have to.
What was it called again?
Academy.org. I think that's what it is.
Khan Academy in one word.
Khan Academy.
Yeah, Khan.
Okay.
Khanacademy.org. It's a free platform, so you don't have to pay for it. And there is also an offline version available where you can download several courses. For example, when you are in Africa with a very bad internet connection and whatsoever, so you can download portions of it and copy it to the hard disk, and then you can work offline without internet connection. So it's
that's basically what we want to do with the education portal, for the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. So when there's resources, that's the way it'll be for children's courses and other such things. But right now, we can't put resources into another whole learning platform because there's just no resources for that. It takes a lot of time and energy to transfer over courses and arrange the teachers and so on. That's what's being done for other learning environments, for universities around the world, and for other different learning environments for health and for agriculture and that kind of thing. Is all being arranged now. So that'll be taken care of through the Keshe Foundation program, so far as I know. But perhaps we'll also be able to engage with a program like that as well. Do you know anything about that one, Flint, or anybody else?
No, I don't. It looks interesting, though.
I remember looking at it before, but I don't remember the details.
KAHN Academy.org.
Okay, well, we can look at that in the background
Okay,
somewhat, but to do an exhaustive investigation of it takes many, many hours and takes several people and a lot of resources just to assess it, let alone to get involved with it. And we don't have the resources for that right now. So
yeah.
It
Okay.
sounds
Go ahead.
interesting. Yeah, it's just also just a good idea, maybe just to collect a lot of informations like that in one document. But this idea was to just write something down for the mandate so we have something formulated, and this can be used in many kind of situations for guidance or for exchange of ideas worldwide, for the schools, for the teachers, for the education institutions, where they can get the idea of a new topic we can bring into the school systems, like you have mathematics and you have physics and you have English, and then you also maybe can have a more serious approach to this with the self-development and balance and all this, and plasma technology.
Okay, that sounds good. Do you want me to put this to copy this and paste it at the end of the document where we are now?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
Let's see. Come on, Wiki. Something's not working with the internet here right now. It's not going through on the wiki. Let's see if I can get back to the main page.
Yeah, that's odd. It's not working for me either.
We broke the wiki. Maybe we got people all over the world checking it out all at once and overwhelmed the server, perhaps. Ah, there we go. Something popped in. See if I can get back to the wishes. Okay. All right, now we're seem to be back again. See if I can edit now. Okay, I have to go back to the previous one apparently and recopy it. March. I have to go out of this. Okay, we copy that again. And back to July. Edit. Bottom. And paste. There we go. All right, there we go. We have it at the end of the July document now.
Thanks a lot, Rick, for that.
I see that the one before that, or we had one from Peggy, but the one before that is also from you, Pia, with previous wishes from 2017 about children. So.
Yeah, but I think that was Marie's formulation, I think.
Mm-hmm, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that as reminders in the July document here. See, Lawrence has his hand up. Do you want to go ahead there, Lawrence?
Hello, this is Lawrence from Hungary. I've had the same thoughts, and I consider we are all children of Mother Earth. And some time ago, we were all communicating with each other on the soul level, without words, with the complete understanding, or at least a little bit more than we are using at the moment. I think the Tower of Babel, the times before that, when we were one voice, we understood each other. So we were also, just like we are now working on one planet, one nation, one race. We were one voice, probably one soul. But then we went into this venture of doing some material big thing that we weren't supposed to do. And then all these connections got shattered or broken up. So I think that with the plasma technology, we are going back to where we came from, that we are going to be able to be understood by not only our fellow human beings, but all other beings here on Earth and all the other beings in the universe, by understanding how the technology works and how we ourselves work. So that's all I wanted to share. I think we're all children.
Can I say something here, please?
Sure, go ahead. And who are you?
Yes, I'm Jalal.
You.
I am UC supporter of Arabic language. I would like to say not correction, but adding to the knowledge. Earth did not create you. Your life created and come from outside Earth. Carbon 12 created the matter state. Carbon 14 created the life. And it came from outside. Only adding to the knowledge. Although the matter state also came the same way, but life here on Earth created originally from outside. Thank you.
Okay, Jalal, thank you for that reminder. Anybody else would like to say something on this topic? Or bring up another?
Hello, Rick and everyone. It's Doug here. Some time ago, I can't remember when, but I was mentioning my daughter was going through a difficult period. And I asked everybody to please just send some soul messages to her. And the good news is that almost from that day, there was a massive change in her attitudes. There's still some hangover from previous, but the whole situation changed for the better and continues along that track. And no words were physically spoken, but somehow through soul connection, the necessary messages were sent and received. And because we're speaking about communicating without words, and I see that as a perfect example of how we're developing in that direction. And I just want to thank everybody here and who were there then for sending those beautiful messages. And that's all I have to say at the moment. So it's a good news story, and it's also very subtle about the power of communication without words from soul to soul. And it's a sign of the times. Thank you.
Very good, Doug. Thank you. Very appropriate. Okay, does anyone else have something to say or comment on other comments? Okay, well, what other things are on the list for the UC or other groups or individuals? What would be good to discuss today that might be appropriate for the UC document that's being worked on, I wonder? Is there anything particular, Flint, you might know that has to be looked at?
Can I add something? Correct, please?
Yes, yes, please.
Mr. Cass said the whole purpose of this teaching is to connect the soul of physicality to the soul of the man, and then the soul of the man to the soul of the Creator. And because we are here in wishes, I would like to put it as a wish. And see how can I say it? It's already connected, but we need to increase it. So your thought, guys.
So what would you want to put down here in black and white, Jalil?
Not establish connection, but the connection is already there. We need to increase the connection between the soul of physicality and soul of the man.
Can I just put down the connection is already there between soul of physicality and soul of the man?
So this is main structure, so we can build in it.
Good morning. Elevate Jalal or stronger for be stronger for the field connection. Be bigger. Increase. You mean?
Yeah, the connection's already there. So it needs to be enhanced or enlarged or
Present, aware. I mean, if you don't acknowledge, you don't see it.
The connection is, but it's for flowing, for big gradient, for increase the boundary of this wish.
A year ago, we didn't know about this. We acknowledge this sixth existence. We like open our eyes and we seeing it now. We could, maybe some people feel it, but they didn't know it was the soul connection they feel. You use it, you acknowledge, you being aware and use it. And activate it maybe.
Showing the beauty of this connection.
Or make the connection stronger.
It's already strong, but it's how not perception, how it illuminates the other soul. Because Mr. Keshe, when I say when one person or one soul, it illuminates, it's shining, or the soul in turn is shining.
So look at the light bulb. It needs current and voltage in order to light up. That means it needs to amp up, it needs to elevate, increase.
Well, with the light bulb, it's either on or off, though. So there's either a connection or there isn't a connection. Or you could say that there's always a connection to the light bulb. It's just that sometimes it's turned on and sometimes it's turned off.
You know, Rick, I think what missing here is the exception. So if I want to put it like this, I wish for the soul of physicality to be humble enough to accept the gift or the love or any word of the soul of the man. You know, sometimes you give, but it's up to the receiver if he receive it or not, accept it or not.
I see it like we have a different human today than a year ago, and you need to be your true self, your true loving person and giving that you are, and is that connection brings you to your essence, the essence of humanity that God loves. And that's a permanent connection because we always were and we always will be, but we kind of, got lost on the road, disconnected. And now we know again that we are a soul, loving energy, feel strong that creates. Amen. And we can shine and become a star. It's just we need to be ourselves and no, nothing different than just being the loving person you are, giving. Can you hear the chicken? Guys,
Is that the wake up alarm?
It's a communication call. When they do that, they usually bring in an egg. But I just want to share that these girls they communicate, and that's the beauty of our existence. If we are who we are, we're supposed to giving hugs each other, right?
Sorry, you said we should be giving something to each other. What was giving?
Hugs.
What?
Hugs to each other.
Sorry, I still missed it.
Hugs.
Hugs. Got it. Okay. Yes.
If we have this loving flow continuously, we would be like completely loving. Hey, do you need anything? Oh no, thank you. I'm okay. Open the fields to flow, to elevate ourselves. It's not to be afraid to be who we're supposed to be. From the field. So open the flow. So
Just following on from that, I've noticed of late the birds, particularly in my beautiful place here, are coming in very, very close without any fear and landing on branches or popping about on the ground, and I can walk right up to them without them flying away as they used to do. And they look at me and I look back at them, and there is a communication. And I'm sending them, happy thoughts, and they're winking at me and chirping at me, and it is an obvious change. So that's a good news story too.
And communication is exchanging of fields, right? So if we are all one in one big field, that's how we increase ourselves. We become, one.
Yes, if we don't separate ourselves away from other living beings, then it opens up. It opens up the channel, the fields. And when you do that, I think when you're aware of that, that's when you see the interaction.
Yes, I had. Go ahead.
Perception, our perception, the skin, the eyes, the ears, the voice, our perception. Sometimes it can become barriers, but sometimes they're open. Look at the person is blind and use the whole body to perceive. And they completely encountered a new world, a new way of living. The normal people, we can see, but we don't see. We feel, but we don't feel. So if we really open the channel of our whole physicality of the emotion, because the emotion feels. And what I'm saying is open to the communication of the fields, and in the interaction we are, in the moment we are connecting to everything. You're like an open channel. You're not seeing the planet or your life from your eyes only or your ears, because we know sometimes you shut down your ears, you don't listen what is around, and you get disconnected. I don't know. It's
Well, as an example, I had posted in my Facebook page about this manta ray. A manta ray is a fish that is in the ocean, and these manta rays, you've probably seen them before, pictures of them and so on. There's one called there's different types of manta rays is what I was going to say, but there's one manta ray that is called Freckles, and it hangs out in a bay. And Freckles, the manta ray, got a hooked onto close to one of its eyes. And there's YouTube videos. If you search for manta ray, you'll find a bunch of YouTube videos. And this injured manta ray actually turned to divers that were there, some snorkelers, for help. And the diver saw that there was some issue going on and dove down and looked at the manta ray, and the manta ray sort of opened up her underneath to show that this hook was hooked on. And after a number of attempts, the diver was actually able to remove the hook from this huge manta ray. The manta ray was much bigger than the diver. These manta rays can have up to a 20-foot wingspan on them. They are essentially like birds of the ocean. They are able to flap their wings and fly through the ocean at pretty good speeds. They can go fast enough that they can go shooting out of the ocean up into the air, up to 2 or 3 meters above the ocean, and then they sometimes do a somersault when they're up in the air and splash back down and so on. It turns out these manta rays, it's a beautiful video. I can give one of the links here maybe, and people can have a look at it. But you can, if you just put in manta ray, it's all over the internet now. There's different news places that have covered the story, and it's a beautiful story of this diver that removes the hook from this manta ray. And I decided to look up about manta rays and find out a little more about them. And it turns out that they're actually very intelligent. They've done tests on manta rays for what they do is they put a mirror inside the place where they have a manta ray, trapped or whatever in a pool or something like that. They put a mirror in to see what the response is. And they've done this with monkeys and gorillas and other fish and animals and of all sorts. And depending on what the response of the animal is, response of the fish, will determine to some degree what their self-recognition. Do they see themselves in the mirror? Are they recognizing their own entityness inside that, with their reflection? Do they know it's them? Do they have self-awareness? And it turns out these manta rays do have a high amount of this self-awareness, approximately similar to what a gorilla might have. And I thought that was quite amazing in itself. Now these manta rays live up to 40 years old. So you could have a 40-year-old manta ray that's aware of themselves and, flying through the ocean. And the thing about that I read about them that's very interesting is that they have an electrical awareness system. They're aware of other fish and other manta rays due to their it's essentially the plasma signature, but in the article they were talking about it as electronic or electrical signal, so that each manta ray knows the other ones. They know that each one of them is individual and different than the others, and they can distinguish between who's who, and similar to whales and other entities that travel in pods or in schools and so on. And they're totally aware of other predators and other fish and so on, and they can take evasive actions because of this very highly tuned electrical system that they have that's able to essentially feel the fields. They are very good at feeling the fields, and so the predators have a hard time with them because they can't sneak up on them so easily, because they're constantly aware of the electrical presence of other beings in their environment. So I thought that was quite amazing that this manta ray would, first of all, turn to the divers for help, and then allow itself to actually be helped by these divers. And then, finding out that it's totally aware of the presence of these divers and all the other things in its environment. And I thought that was it just blew me away. I couldn't believe it. I didn't realize that about these particular fish.
It wouldn't be a switch of awareness. I mean, you said it. If we have this awareness, everything has a field, and we turn on the switch that you can start to see those fields and awareness, you will start to move and see and feel and touch, and and connected into this field and communicate with the blue, yellow, red, green, it will be a completely different way of seeing the physicality. And we are not seeing physicality from that point of view. How are we going to elevate the soul if we don't understand that our physicality is part of these particles? They're all fields interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we need to maybe start to move these particles and create different field strengths to create that force that elevate to the soul?
Well, the thing is, if you're in the state of feeling the fields, you're not concerned with any of the particles or any of the physicality. That's not what you're feeling. You're feeling the fields, not the physicality.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
So, and the same with if you were to see these fields, to see, essentially the plasmatic fields, then you would be so busy seeing them and feeling them that you wouldn't be concerned about seeing and feeling the physicality. You might not even be able to see the physicality because you'd be so busy involved with the fields. It's kind of like what Mr. Keshe was saying in the one of the introductory videos that we listened to in the workshops, that that you would see the star. This you would, to the man who doesn't see the physicality of the world, he sees the galaxy and all the people as stars in that galaxy. He doesn't see them as physicality, actual individual people like we normally consider, with arms and legs and a head and everything else. You just see the star that's part of the galaxy. The light, you might say, or it would be like you would be feeling the fields or seeing the fields and not the physicality that's just one sort of one representation of that entity. So it's that idea of feeling the fields, and again, that because that occurs in the moment, and you have to be totally present and continue to be present to be able to continue feeling the fields and sensing the fields, then it takes so much of your attention that you tend to not think about the physicality. It's not part of the picture.
Would it be like an tuning, like you're connecting to a certain, your body tuning, like preparing?
Sure. Like a radio station, for example, if you tune to one station, then that means you're not hearing the other stations. They're all there. All the stations are there. They're always here. There's a 1,000 radio stations right in front of my nose right now, right inside my brain, inside this room, all around. There's 1,000 radio stations. And if I had a radio here, I could tune in to any one of those stations. But it's difficult to tune into 2, 3, or 4 stations at once. We tend as humans to tune into one station at a time. And the same with radios, they're designed to only tune one station at a time. If they tune 2 stations at a time, we call it a defective radio. Even though it's easy for them to design one that will tune in 2, 5, or 10, or 100 stations all at once if we wanted to. And you can make a radio do that if you like, but it would be very confusing and it's hard to deal with. So as humans, we get one thing at a time usually to deal with because that's all we can handle. So if we look at it like that, we can exist feeling the fields and being present and working from the soul perspective. But that might mean that we'll have to take some of our attention or all of our attention off of all the little physical things that were bothering us or that we usually focus on or that's so important in our lives and so on. So in other words, if you're really excited and working on the soul level and maybe you're in a workshop like this and you're working on elevating yourself within this workshop and you're looking inside and you're working with your perceptions and all this, you're probably not thinking about, oh, I think I'll go and make a bunch of food and wolf it all down and do a few errands while I'm doing all this, because it takes all of your attention to focus on these soul levels or on to elevate yourself.
But you said something. You put your attention, your focus, your body to feel, to open to the fields, to interact with the fields. So that's something. Focus, right? It's your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then coordinate or tune or align your body, how you call it, the senses, to perceive the feels, because that perception helps you to interact with the feels consciously. And you're focused, you're aware, focus, aware. And then your daily activity are activities of elevation of the soul. Right?
Right, becomes a different focus of attention and a different activity that might go along with that. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to repeat it so we don't lose the idea. So you said you're focusing on something mentally, but also you tell the body, physicality, the command to be aware and awake and present to the fields, right? And to be able to communicate with our surrounding with their other fields. So you're not separated. You are ready. You are like little kid ready to go out. So it's like we need to be aligned to be able to be connected within the fields. We need to be focused, present, connected to our soul, be happy, and perception ready to interact, with the fields.
Mm-hmm. And we often have to be reminded even to get to that point of starting all that. And so it's like we have to remind ourselves that, I'm in the middle of eating this ice cream. I kind of forgot about that I was supposed to be present and paying attention to my environment and everything else. I was so involved in eating this ice cream.
But it's a new suit. It's a new suit. It's the plasma suit. You have to be focused, aware, ready to communicate with all your senses, to interact in a new field environment. It's like instead of being an astronaut, you have all your sensors ready to work, skin, eyes, ears. It's a new network. It's a new body that now we open in function. It was dormant. Now all these sensors, they come on and online. And by focusing, we can, make it get activated, because your command is your activation,
That's right. And also you mentioned putting on a different suit. Well, I mean, think about when you're in, I don't know, maybe in kindergarten or elementary school. And I remember when the teachers would tell you to put on your thinking cap now, and we're going to do some mathematics. We're going to, add some numbers or do some reading or something. This idea of putting on your thinking cap all of a sudden you change your mindset from playing with blocks and having fun to this little job of putting on your thinking cap and having to think and to, you know, do all the stuff that they want you to do with numbers or whatever to try to think about stuff. But maybe now in our later life, we have to remove our thinking cap and put on our sensing apparatus, sensing cap, you might say, instead, because it turns out that our thinking cap actually is a barrier to having the sensing cap. Because if you're thinking, then you can't possibly be present because you're busy thinking. You're involved in thoughts and identified with thoughts and the mental constructs of the mind. So you'll probably be missing everything that's happening right in front of your nose because you're busy thinking, doing some mental calculation. What's 59 times 123? I'm doing it all in my head. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, when I'm doing that, I'm just not present because you're stuck somewhere inside of a brain doing some number calculation or whatever it is that your thinking mind gets stuck on, for believing that something's really important to be able to figure it out or to be able to repeat it to someone or to come up with the right answer or to associate it with some other associative brain function that's going on at the same time, and starting some conversation about something that's associated, it's not even related, and all that kind of thing is happening all the time as distractions to us just being simply present with whatever it is that's the issue or thing that we're attending to or the concern that's coming up. So I'm reminded of what Doug said earlier, that he didn't have to make any verbal comments. He didn't have to go on and explain all the theories of psychology, of dealing with his daughter and so on and so forth. All the ideas of communication skills and discussing this and that. No, none of that was required. No thinking, no mental apparatus stuff, other than clearing all that out and allowing the flow of the elevation of the soul, you might say, that just occurs, just allowing that that state of observation, objective observation that occurs with being there, with being present, is enough to make the changes in itself. And that actually is where the core changes occur from, is from that space of being totally present, not the space of having all kinds of knowledge and thoughts bouncing around your head and trying to get someone else to have those same thoughts and to try to force someone into our own mental constructs and so on. That doesn't often turn out that well. But to just give and then allow that to be received in whatever way it gets received, and allow that to do the work.
If I may say, Rick, that I tried for some considerable time, for years, doing that verbal communication with my daughter and trying to offer advice and using what I thought was my wisdom and experience. And in actual fact, it seemed to do the opposite. It created more barriers, more defensiveness. And it's only when I gave that physical approach away that the results came. As I've said, with your help, with everyone's help, it was like, it just broke through all of that. And and it was obvious.
Well, thanks, Doug. That's a good confirmation of that idea.
Rick, can you hear me? It's Dean from the UK.
Yes, go ahead, Dean.
Hi guys. Rick, can I share a screen? Can I just show you? I've just got a couple of images, and one in particular. It's made up in Photoshop, so it's a made up image of a couple of shots that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems to follow on from everything you've just been talking about, really.
Okay. You see, I think we'll have to make you a panelist in order to share, so I'll do that. I see your hand up there, Mehran, so I'll get to you next. Okay, I think you'll be able to share there now, Dean.
Okay, I'm just about to share. So I'm just going to play this slideshow, and so that sort of says everything. I think what we've just been speaking about. Are we ready to go? Am I ready to go? It's that big question. Hopefully, yes. And as you've all just been discussing, it's just being present in the moment and letting yourself go. Sounds easy, but obviously it's one of the hardest things to do. Hopefully, I'll connect with myself very soon. Can you ask some questions, anybody? And just because you know what I'm like, I'm not brilliant at speaking. So if you just ask some questions, I can always answer them. And just that image is basically an image I shot when I went on holiday once. It's in France. The universal background in the back was actually shot in Spain when I was on holiday, and I've comped those two images together to make up an image. So it is a photoshopped reality, but it is a reality. And hopefully it's a reality that will come to fruition at some point for all of us very soon, if not now.
Dean, if I can put something forward, I worked for years at night, and still often I'm up in the night in the clear sky above me. And Rick and I were talking about this a little while ago, that you look up at the sky and wonder if somebody's looking back. And what I do, if I, just by myself, quiet, I pick out a particular object or entity and just focus on that particular bright, shiny object and just see if it responds.
I've done that a few times. Sorry,
yeah. No, that's fine.
I've done that a few times. I mean, there is a couple of very bright objects that do come into my vision at night.
Yep.
Very bright. And I have focused and I've sort of connected, but not quite got there.
Do you notice that that those really bright ones, they're the ones I choose too, the ones that look like they're having a disco party, the ones that, really beautiful colours and maybe my imagination, but they seem to sort of flare up a bit, make
they do indeed.
You know what I'm saying, hey?
I do indeed. I've had it quite a few times recently where I suddenly look into the sky and I think, is that just winked at me? And
yeah.
I'm getting stars or whatever they are, celestial beings, just speaking to me quite a lot. Yeah, it happens.
Even the little ones, the less obvious ones, just focus on looking at or putting your attention towards them, and sometimes they may even move. They may even just do a little bit of a dance or something.
I'm sure that has happened a couple of times. You just, when you think, did that just move? I've had that. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pinch yourself. But if you have the time and you've got the silence and just your own attention and your own focus, I think you can get the objects or the entities to dance with you in some way or to respond. And you know, and of course then you have to go or you have to move on. But, you know, I think that's absolutely real. And it's the soul-to-soul connection. There's no time. There's no light years. It's one being to another,
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely, Doug. I think you're right. I'm just going to move this slide on just because
Yep.
There's only 2 or 3 of them, but it just really does correspond with everything we're saying. That actual image you're looking at now is actually, as you can tell, it's droplets of water that I caught that were hanging in on a spider's web in the back of my garden. But it just seems to represent moons and planets and star systems. And it just reminded me of the teachings with Mr. Keshe always said about we leave a thread back home. I nearly discussed it with him once, and I spoke about it, but he didn't want to talk to me about it at that particular time, so I stopped. But whether this is the right time or not, I don't know. But yeah, that just sums up everything we've been speaking about, really. I don't know what you think.
I'll say it must be the right time, Dean, because there it is on my screen right now, and I think that looks really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, meaningful shot there, really. I love the idea of we always leave a thread back home, and you got these spiderweb threads attached to all these spherical entities that could be a whole planetary system or a galaxy. And,
well, they are, aren't they, Rick? In macro?
They are. Yeah,
micro
indeed.
or macro is the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and we always leave a thread back home, so you can always find your way home. That's the idea there. And if we look at the state of being present as home, then there's always a thread that can take you back there. So we don't have to be afraid of not getting back to home in a way. We may leave home periodically and sometimes get pretty lost out in the world, but we always leave a thread to follow back if we so wish.
That's it. It's if we wish, isn't it? And when we're
You
ready.
got to wish for it, otherwise it doesn't happen.
Yeah, you got to wish for it. That's right. And you got to be ready for it too.
You have to be looking for spider webs in order to find that thread. If you're not seeing them,
yep, that's right.
Then they're not there.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Very deep and very true.
Yeah, lovely images. I'd like to see them made into a video with some other ones. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely, no problem at all. As I said, all these images will be, and you can use them as you wish, for whatever. And I'll certainly make them into a video for you guys, just to help the teachings, really.
Well, for example, there will be eventually, not probably until September or something. There will be a video for the UC to go with. Well, Flint can explain more about what's happening with this presentation from the UC and so on. But that, could possibly be a nice frame to put into a video like that.
Yeah, well, you're definitely welcome to them.
Yes, thank you.
And how do people get images like this to us, Flint? What's the best way for them to send it so that we can receive it, put it into our depository? Or do we have a real depository that we can accept such images? Do we prefer links to the images instead? I
tried to, I've got a site, but it's fairly old, and I tried to upload them to my site so you could link to that site. I'm still trying to sort that out. But I did notice there's an update on Zoom that said something about being able to drop a Dropbox and everything involved with it. Is that correct?
Yeah, the new Zoom update allows you to send files by Dropbox and so forth, so you can just drop them into Zoom itself in our chat there. I have the one picture from you, but if it's really large, you can just use WeTransfer with a zip file.
Okay, yeah. All it was, Flint, is I just need obviously an address to send it to, and we didn't quite clarify with each other.
Yeah, I did. I sent it there in chat there.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look it up again. I'll look it up again. Sorry, Flint.
No problem. And then from there, I'll just drop them in our cloud.
Yeah, sure. But on Zoom, if there's a Dropbox, you should be. I mean, do you know what size limit? Is there a limit size on the images?
No.
Then I should be able to just drop it in there.
A standard Dropbox account is 2 gig unless you pay more.
Yeah, sure. No, that's plenty enough. Plenty. Enough. Okay, will do. Thanks, Flint.
Yes.
Thank you for all the hard work that you do, because you're a star in what you do behind the scenes. You're a wonderful man.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, definitely one of the stars of the Keshe star system here.
Okay, Rick, that's all I had to share, really. That was it. I don't know.
Lovely, Dean. Thank you for bringing that up and showing us. Perfect.
You're welcome.
Was there another picture you had there?
There was 3, but the other one went through a bit quick. I can play it again, but I need to reshare it, I think. Let me just right, so if I just reshare again. For some reason it's gone strange, don't know why.
You have to click on the first. Click on number 2 and then hit play.
Yeah. That was it, right? Let me just I'll just quickly run through it again. So you've seen this image. It was the second one I wanted you to see. The second is actually from it was shot in Spain. Again, it was when I was on holiday, but it just sort of it's just that nice image, and it's just the way that the this little village shone in the distance, like a little star system. And I think the words say it all, really. And I think that's for all of us, for myself and anybody else who wants to travel, is, do we want to do it in physicality, or instantly with the thought, with the soul? I know which one I want to go with, but
faster than the speed of mind, eh?
That's the one, Doug. Yeah, definitely. I better stop sharing, otherwise I might be there now.
Yeah. We can just all meet in that little village.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We all did just now.
We did, yeah.
Because in a way, these images are very provoking, and we've been talking about, soul communication and various aspects and so on. So sometimes an image like this can trigger the memory of our being totally present in the moment and able to do instant soul travel and instant communications and instant everything, because it's all instant when you're totally present in the moment. There can be no other than instant in a way. So it's great to have images like this that trigger a memory or a experience for us, more of an experience in the moment than a memory. Even it's the memory of how we can get to be in the moment, and that maybe we aren't in that particular moment, and so we struggle to try to be more present and to be totally and completely here now. The old I am here now mantra.
The image of the mountain with the halo of the sun, but also it's like it looks like the halo of the fields. I live in the mountains, and at nighttime it's beautiful because you see those halo on the trees and on the horizon of the profile of the pines on the hills and the sky.
And the little tiara on the top of the mountain there too. Little beautiful little crown, if you like. On there.
Yeah, and someone said yesterday, "Oh, I recharge myself more in the night." And I think also they mentioned Mr. Keshe said that he rebuilt himself from the fields in the nighttime more. And I was thinking, it's like nature is showing the fields every night to us to see it, because during the daytime it's kind of hard to see it, you know, the brightness of the sun. But we don't see it, because it's like I was saying, it's like you have eyes, you have vision, but you don't see. The moment you know, you see, you're able to see the one you can hear, the one they can see, the one they can touch, because before you didn't know what were you touching. Now, the moment you understand the knowledge, you're able to see for first time the reality. And I just want to bring this, it's like the awareness, you start to see for first time in a completely different world.
Yeah, I
And
totally agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying.
At night, Mr. Keshe says the energy.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, a lot of microphone noise there, Doug.
Oh,
I think it's on yours.
that's that.
Is something rubbing on the microphone? Yeah, it was really scratchy. I'm not sure.
I'm really curious what thinking Jalal or Signora Caroline in this moment. I miss the sound of the, not voice, the field of all the knowledge seekers, especially Jalal and Caroline, Eric and Flint and everybody. It's very nice still, the voice, the sensing of the voice, not only sound.
Beautiful, Dan.
Is that clearer?
Ah, much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. And I forgot what I was going to say.
All right. Well.
Oh, the energy fields, yes, at night, on the opposite side of the planet, when the sun is, you know, as we're saying, the sun, the daytime, there's a whole different thing. There's a lot of different fields going on. At night, when we're on the other side, away from the sun, that's why I think we can see the sky, we can see the universe. It's a blessing in many ways that you can look up, and you know, sometimes you can almost feel like you could float off the planet and just go out, because we don't have the blue sky and we don't have clouds. We may have clouds, but on a clear night, it's almost like there's nothing between us and the universe.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good point. It's ironic in many ways, if you look at it that way, that here's the sun, which is the source of energy, the source of life on our planet in many ways, the transformations and transmutations that occur from the rays coming through magnetic and gravitational fields and atmosphere of the Earth and so on, and creating all the elements so that we're able to live here. But on the other hand, the sun is so strong of a field strength that it overwhelms us during the daytime, such that we can't see the stars. We're not able to connect with the outer universes as easily as you were saying, Doug. And it's an overwhelming force. And if you look at the idea of the Mr. Keshe's the Keshe power cells that are the night and day power cells, the idea is that they work better at nighttime than the daytime, because they work off the energy coming out of the earth rather than from the sun. So the energy coming from the earth is suppressed by the sun in the daytime. The sun pushes back on the same kind of energy coming from out of the earth, so that when the sun is on the other side of the earth, then it allows that energy to flow more readily, and so the cells would pick up on that and be able to work more efficiently. So that's kind of an amazing idea in a way, and I think that could also reflect in our lives as we go through our daily lives. In a way, having our eyes open and interacting with the world is like the sun is there, and we're running into all kinds of situations and emotions and just stuff happening. It's always something happening on planet Earth and in our environment, and we have people and issues and things and stuff to do and all of that occurring when we're so-called conscious and alive and interacting with our world. But while we're doing all that, we are also generally neglecting or negating the other part that's connected to the totality. And we can kind of forget about that because we get so caught up in the field strength of the physicality and that world of dealing with things. And then maybe finally at the end of our busy day, we lie down in the horizontal position, and maybe just before we go to sleep, we have this incredible half dream connection that we feel really connected, or we have a revelation of some sort, or we have something special that might occur in that space where we let go, where we finally let go of all this stuff we've been doing and having to interact and having to respond and react and so on. That can be a distraction toward that place of letting go and just connecting without having to do, without having to change, and without having to respond or react. We can respond maybe, but not have to react in certain ways, or not get drawn into the drama or the emotion. And it's only when we let go of all that drama and emotion, those strong fields, that we're able to sense and perhaps feel the fields that are really there, that are the subtle fields that are behind the things that we get distracted by in our lives. So possibly.
Hello, Rick. I totally agree with you. I think the motto of the Keshe Foundation is where science meets spirituality. So we need both our minds and our souls, I think. It's just that our minds is that window that's dusty because of all those heavy fields that you've been talking about. So whenever we grasp something and go in the direction of this self-feeding core, then we close up all these leakages of the core that we have as soul inside ourselves.
Good way to look at it.
Hello.
Yes, Marinez, I was just going to bring you in there. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't know I could talk. I was waiting wisely. Trav, you my turn now. All right. Oh, now that I'm sitting comfortably, I can talk. Where should I start? First of all, I noticed, I feel like there are some teachings around, I don't know how and where, that feeling of a spirituality feeling is getting into physical feeling. As far as I know, watch out not to confront with physically.
Sorry, Marinez, it's a little hard to hear you. Could you maybe get a bit closer to the microphone?
Concept. That physicality, that members get weak. We cannot confront with the body to achieve a goal. So careful about this kind of. Secondly, it was before. Everything having to do with these healing stuff, energy stuff, if you don't have the idea how it works, you might have the side effect going to nervous, having headache, having lack of sleep, things like that, and then stop it. So there are things that we cannot just go and continue. I was young, I was doing things, and then I found that later. So as far as this thing, be careful of side effects. And I don't know if I was understood, but I know some people don't like it. But we should be careful about the areas we don't have the right teaching, solid teaching, or internet, or whatever. It should be so, because these things we go into, we don't know when we get out. As far as you feel bad stuff. And other thing is, Mr. Keshe said about somebody who asked about being humble. If you live with the Keshe Foundation code ethics, you will attain a lot of these things. And I was always saying, it's not because I go out, of course I go out from years ago and I see something. We have to have a good action. We have to have a sincere, good heart. Personally, I think this word sincere for me is absolutely necessary. It might be a child of 5 years or old, or whatever years in the education. Sincere heart, zero contact. And contact, you see it, you feel it, the heart. And you see it, you feel it, maybe with the third eye or the top of the head, for those who know how to do it in the meditation. There's some way of meditation which they know how to do it. So they don't need to force their body of hands and eyes, because the eyes get weak, the hands get weak. We should not confront with the body for attending some of it. As far if there's any case question, as far as my wish for the last week, I saw, I saw, I think, Iram from Canada, who said that I have a wish that we all be happy. We all be happy. And then I thought I would like to add something to it, that I, because everybody inside, even though they don't act upon that, happiness for self, and some people exaggerate. I wanted to say happiness for self and for others. And then I thought I may copy the words of Buddha or the wise men. It says, try to treat others the way you want to be treated. And then the negative part is not to do to others what you don't want them to do to you. It's a copy. And I don't know if, because it seems like to be the golden rule, that if we act by that, it's almost the essence of all the teaching. Treat people that we treat. I wish that we treat people, others, the way I want them to treat me, and not to do things with others that I don't want them to do. I don't know how you would.
Okay, what do you want to put down here, Marinez? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Marinez? Hello? Marinez?
Lot of wishes for the good conduct.
Hello, Marinez, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Are the same. If they're not
Yes,
others,
not.
what am I going to do? I'm lonely in this planet. And they give me the chance to give this to them. And by their being there, I can get higher than what I was if there was nobody to give to.
Marinez, you can't hear me, obviously. We're going to have to cut you off here or something so we can get your attention, or at least communicate some other way. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, Marinez. Hello. Okay, I'm going to mute you because you're not communicating. I can't mute you. Oh, well. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'll try to write you a note here in the chat. Cannot hear us. Okay, I'm going to try to put down what your wish was. Oh, you'll have to put it, you'll have to. I'll tell you what, Marinez, why don't you write down your wish in the chat, and well, I'll transfer it over to the document here, if you can hear me. I'll put it down. It was hard to hear you there. I don't know if you can hear me, Marinez, but it was hard to hear you in many parts of your what you were saying there, because your microphone wasn't close enough, and I couldn't communicate with you to tell you that. So if you want to write it in the chat there, and I'll transfer it over. Thank you. Okay, anybody else have something they'd like to bring up? Hello, Carolina, are you still there and in the background?
Yes, I am, Rick. I
Okay.
don't hear.
You've been pretty quiet.
yes, I want knowledge seekers and the council members to see what they're going to bring on the table. What can be shared in the progress of their work. How do they see the progressing of the world peace taking place? I also said something recently. I said the knowledge seekers should actually start writing down their, or it's a hint, they don't have to, they're free, how their life was, and with all their experiences from when they were very young till now, or till the pivot point came when they came across the Keshe Foundation, and how they reviewed and repositioned themselves with this new knowledge. What an impact did it had on their life. But at the same time, I used an example. I bumped into an article yesterday about a refugee who said, how can you explain 20 years lost of life? And I didn't read everything. I just understood that of the minimum conversation I looked into what he was saying, that he managed to get out. His mother never managed to get out because of simply one sheet of paper. And the title again came, how can you justify 20 years of loss of life? And I said, don't look at it that way. I said, because he announced that he's going to go back into the camp. There are 185,000 refugees in that camp, all Africans. I said, just analyze his journey. If he could just analyze his journey himself as well, what he has learned, he's grown up in there. He was brought in by his parents. And the life experience of just being present in that camp for 20 years and now having the willingness to return to bring the changes. Now, this is the beauty with the Keshe Foundation Knowledge Seekers is the same. You come in touch with the foundation and suddenly you change your point of view. You change your whole surroundings. You start becoming a completely different person, but it serves. And that's what I was trying to incite in the knowledge seekers, that look at the beauty, look at what he had to go through to get the experience to know when he's out, he's gonna go back in to bring the changes. It might be on medical, it might be on education, it might be on food, it might be on regulation, it might be on law. He said, because I can't go anywhere because I have no country, I have no title, I have no birth certificate, I have nothing. But he managed over time and period, I didn't read the whole story, he was out and he was giving this interview. So you knowledge seekers have come to that same point of pivot point, the way turning around in your life. But you had to go and build up all this expertise to understand when you bump into the Keshe Foundation, what to do with it and where to change and how to change. And as you're all, I say, the first frontiers of this kind of change, you are actually involved physically, personally in this whole change. You're bringing it. Write it down. Leave it as a legacy for, give it to the testimonials for it to be published. Let it to go on the Wikipedia, because you might inspire actually so many new people which will come in and they read your story and they say, wow, now I understand why I bumped into this and why my life is changing. Anybody, any ideas or explanation or adding?
Yes, I'm down from Romania. My life is changed when I come to not foundation, seeing and knowing this knowledge of foundation. Uh, my time, day and night, it's from 24 hours. Now I sleep only, I don't know, 4 hours or 3 hours in 24 because I listen to a lot or so every day in different language workshop. I review uh, plasma time, no plasma time, sorry, case reactor group, all the teaching from you, Mr. Carolina, from Mr. Cash, from Rick, from everybody, the other groups. I am very busy, and I like it. I don't know my wife what say. It's married with me first, and now I don't know what how, but I see very a lot the change in thought of me in my work, in my college of work, in my life, in my family, in the group of my friends in Facebook or in my life. It's a lot. It's understanding a lot, different way, not way, the same thing in different point of view through the plasma technology. And I so grateful, and I understand my one of my thoughts. It's now because this semester is closing very soon these days, and I hope seeing what the others making or what change is bringing in proper life. This knowledge seekers workshop and how it's changed 1 year ago, 2 years ago, or 1 month. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Anybody else would like to comment on what Carolina brought up there? Are there any comments from the UC people that would pertain to our efforts toward world peace and where we're at this point in time?
I am again done. I want to apply like a student. For me, it's very difficult because I don't know in which, how to say, in which part of what in the translation or in the manufacturing or in the not medical applies. And the other things, I don't know how I putting me, how replace, no replace. Because I like everything. For me, everything is the same thing. It's not important. It's energy. It's medical. It's agriculture. It's soul teaching or translation. Or for me, it's everything. In everything be applying in every moment of my life or in everything else. I know it's not very clear what I asking. I saying I want to apply like a student. Where and how? And what title? Manufacturing, agriculture, energy, development, social. Is very difficult for me putting in what part of. Perhaps I have the answer. It's needed to look inside me and replace like a magnet.
Yeah, I'm not quite clear on your question or comment there, Dan. Like Peggy asks, are you wanting to start with the private classes, Dan? But I think you mean something different than the private classes. Is that true, Dan?
No, apply when I say applying like a student, it's not also for private teaching or I don't know. It's for applying, and I don't know how to identify what is needed for being what I am.
It's like leaving the fields. It's applying your knowledge. It's like leaving from a student where you're learning something new, you start to applying. That's a word to say. You're applying the knowledge. Well, now we're at the level we're living the knowledge. We're being, existing, and interacting with the fields of the earth and with the people and the plants. We live in it. It's like creating a wish now. I wish humanity live the knowledge, a daily experience and harmony and peace of the fields. That's a nice wish, isn't it?
So Dan, are you running into the problem of where to apply your attention, like whether to put it into agriculture or health aspects or into, space technology or into, curing your bad fingernail or whatever it is? Is that the issues that you don't know which direction to go into? There's so many different ways. There's so many different directions. How does one know what to dive into?
Yes, Rich, thank you. It's very because I want to be in every.
You want to do everything all at once, but we can't because it's so big. There's so many. It's like trying to take in the totality. As humans, we don't have the apparatus to be able to do everything all at once. That's why we have time, so we can have one thing happening at a time. Because if everything happened all at once, it would be totally overwhelming. We would have too much information, as the saying goes. Too much information is when someone gets overwhelmed with the details of a situation, and especially things they didn't really want to know, then it's totally overwhelming. So we have to focus on one particular or a few particular areas in order to get some meaning out of it, that we can really, penetrate it and make it our own and totally understand whatever particular aspect that we wish to dive into. But it's a tricky game. As Mr. Keshe said before, there's different levels. There's the physicality level, and people get stuck in the physicality level. That's what probably most humans on the planet are stuck in, the physicality level. And then you can get into the nano level. Everything becomes nano, and you become interested in nano and all of the aspects of nano and the way even the way the plasma and fields and everything else interact, but in terms of the nano. And then there's another level, another stage where it's about the GANs which gets created from the nano, but it's a different category. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different fields are involved, different interactions, and it's a more, you could call it a higher level, but it's a more well, it's a different way of perceiving. And then Mr. Keshe went on to say, then there's another level above the GANs level, which is the plasma level. And you can start to conceive of everything around you in terms of plasma, and that it's all becomes plasma relationships. And we are a plasma, the atoms are all plasmas, the universe, the galaxies are plasmas, and everything is a plasma field interaction. And then a level above that even, which is the plasma manipulator, is the word that Mr. Keshe used during that description of these different levels. And in that level, you become like a master of the plasma. You're able to come and go with different plasma fields, and you understand about the strengths and how to work with them, and what things really are, and so on and so forth. You become essentially a creator at that point. And then he mentioned there's other levels even above that, and so on, but that was all we could really conceive of at this point. So if we think of it in that way, then it's our daily interactions could be framed in terms of those different levels. And if you're viewing things from a certain level, then that's basically where you're at. That's where you're stuck in a way. We don't consider ourselves stuck probably, but if you're not able to come and go among all of the levels at will, then we must be stuck in one of those levels. And in that case, it might be good to sort of step back and have a look and see, well, do I want to stay in this level, or do I want to try to elevate myself to the next higher level, which generally we can get a taste of, but it's very hard to see the next level. And we wouldn't be able to see 2 levels above where we are, because that's just we're not able to imagine what that's like until we get there. So we have these different levels, and going back to what Dan was saying and trying to find a way through this massive body of knowledge that's been imparted to us through Mr. Keshe and the work of the Keshe Foundation and all of the knowledge seekers. You could be approaching it from the matter level and just basic knowledge and wanting to know all about the knowledge, and just having that knowledge on that level of the physicality level could take many, many years, maybe many, many lifetimes just to go there. And then to approach all of that knowledge from the GANs point of view, or from the nano point of view, or from the plasma point of view. These are all different perspectives. So we have to sort of know where we are and know where we can possibly get to, I suppose, in order to have a game plan of how are we going to approach this knowledge? What are we going to study in particular? Do we want to know everything about agriculture, for example, and we might know everything about the physicality end of agriculture, exactly all the techniques and all of the elements that are involved and the different, physicality stuff of it all. But maybe from a GAN's perspective, or from a nano perspective, or from a plasma perspective, it would be more a higher level, let's say, a different way of thinking about it, so that it might be more inclusive, and it might be something that would be more useful in a global peace initiative. So rather than dealing with the details of the physicality end of it, you might be dealing with the concepts and ideas of the field interactions, literally in the case of agriculture, field interaction, but dealing with maybe the fields of the people involved are important, in the interaction of the agriculture. So that becomes more important to have a change happen in the fields of people interacting, and that'll change the whole nature of the agriculture and so on and so forth. I'm just giving that as an example of something that might show a different perspective. And if we see how Mr. Keshe operates, you can see he works on many different levels, often at the same time, so that when he says something, you'll hear it on the level that you're at. And different people will hear different things according to what level they happen to be listening on. So I think that's something that if we kind of keep that in mind a little bit with our interactions, that we are somewhere on these levels and generally hang out there, and maybe we can learn to be more nimble about going to different levels and accepting what other people on other levels are saying, because maybe it is true for them at that level. And maybe when we get to that level, it'll also be true for us, even though it sounds strange, perhaps, if we hear about some of the things that happen, or some of the actions that occur and so on. It may not make sense to us, because at our level, we're not getting the full picture, not getting the big picture. And of course, with the world politics is a great example of that. You could look at it on certain physicality kind of levels and things that are going on, or you can look at it as on a very high soul level as well, and then there's many levels in between. So what's really going on? And we get some hints of that from Mr. Keshe and his teachings about the way things are going on politically in the world, and some of the things that are really happening in behind that structure, and some of the things happening in behind that structure, and so on. So we see the Russian doll sort of phenomenon in the world. Okay, anybody else like to make a comment on any of this? Or shall we move along?
Thank you, Rick, for sharing. Any of the council members, please? Your vision on what you can change for your language, or could be encouraged or changed? It's gonna stay quiet today.
No comment from the Universal Council. They must be all busy pondering something somewhere.
I'm going to bring something strange on the table, Rick. Have you noticed? I just bumped into it. Apparently, there is a live recording on YouTube going on about Area 51. What is going on there?
Oh, there's a movement of up to 1 million people that want to invade Area 51 and see what's really going on there, or whatever. Someone started it sort of as a joke, apparently, but it caught on, and some people got very serious about it, and they started a kind of a movement, and I guess it's a Facebook page or some Facebook connection with it, and all these people have vowed to invade Area 51, and this is a big deal because the U.S. Military won't put up with that, of course, and I don't think they would very easily do that anyways, but it's in the news, and I don't know if something will come of it or not, but there's a lot of UFO kind of news items and things coming up about that, so maybe we're into some kind of disclosure, or people are forcing a disclosure as well.
I heard or I saw a few days ago, and I thought, why is he writing that? Because to me, it didn't make any sense. And Trump said something like, don't go all in once because I already moved everything 2 years ago. So you won't find anything there anymore. So I thought, why is President making such a comment on Twitter? And now I just bumped by scanning through my messages. I'm multitasking to see, and it's just right. You want to join to see live Area 51? And I thought, what is going on there? So that's the reason why I asked you.
Yeah, I think that was true, that basically Area 51 got moved to another location. So maybe it'll end up becoming a museum, and they'll make it into a national monument or something, so that everyone can go there and do their prayers or whatever they do in that location.
Things are on the move. If people start going into that direction, it means things are on the move.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Because this would be the first time that the public goes for going in there.
Well, people have always tried to sort of skirt the rules there, and they have, of course, perimeter guards and cameras and sensors and everything else all around, so people don't get very far, but they do like to hang out and around the fences and that kind of thing, and observe. There's people that make it their business to be there with telescopes and binoculars, and they watch the runways and they watch the skies and that kind of thing, looking for any new type of aerial vehicles that might be being tested, or what we call UFOs and that kind of thing. This has gone on for decades, basically. So, but the idea of having 1 million people show up at the doorstep there, that's a new idea. And not like, most of them, 90% of that would probably not show up. But even if 10% showed up and 100,000 people suddenly showed up, that would overwhelm them, and there would be some sort of conflict, I would think, in that situation. But it would definitely be in the news, as Doug says in the chat.
But it's interesting why president or not army or another minister, or it's not important how or where politician speaking. Why the president saying, "Oh, it's moving"? Perhaps it's not moving. Perhaps it's there, but for disinformation, oh, go, guys, don't go because it's not left nothing. It's interesting why in this moment the president making this affirmation in the, I don't know, in media, how to say, is the act, is the why he react in this way in this time. This is the question, not is there something or not.
Right. Yeah, well, there's a lot of, like Carolina says, a lot of movement happening. So we could see some sort of disclosure type event happening. It's extremely possible. Or some sort of event to prevent disclosure. That could also be highly possible.
If I may, there is an area in the middle of Australia called Pine Gap, and it's very similar to Area 51 on the other side of the world. And maybe they moved all of their stuff to Pine Gap because it's also got the same perimeter fences and teams of security. And even though it's part of Australia's territory, no Australian citizen can enter. Not even the government can go inside without a special permit. So maybe they moved all of their things there.
Who knows? Who knows? Okay, any other comments? Anybody from the UC like to make a comment?
This is Moshfek. We have conversation here and elsewhere on the internet. It's about these disclosures and things like that. That is, you see it often these days. But as we are noticing, even here in our Knowledge Seekers Workshop, the contact with the universal community is not going to be through the leaders. As far as I can tell, it is happening among the regular people. And from what I have gathered, a little bit here and there, it's not very sort of open in a way, but it's happening. And there is no authority in a sense. It's for the whole humanity, or the one nation, one planet, one race. And there is no authority in a sense. All of us, we, in a sense, if we wish for it, it happens. And we become prepared, and it happens. We have some idea about what these governments are. I mean, if we look at their behavior for the last 50, 100 years, they're doing their thing, that's fine. And there is a certain group that's making comments through Twitter. Apparently they come from non-terrestrial source, but there's one comment that which I found very interesting, is that the reason we are on Twitter is that, yeah, we have tried talking to the governments, but as you all know very well, the government is they don't, they talk to us, they're curious about, they want to get our technology, but beyond that, they're not interested. They're in much. The human aspect or the universal community aspect of it, they don't really care. So that's why we are doing it with regular people. And we find regular people to be much more interesting than any government we have tried so far. So this was one comment that was kind of curious for me. And I think this is where it is happening among us people. And no matter where we are, and some of us can sense it, some of us may have direct contact, but in the end, there is no authority that's going to dictate the term. As we are prepared, the universal community is here. And we know Mr. Keshe and others have talked about presence in our solar system of this universal community. So they're here. And as we all have talked about it, it's there is something going to be happening soon, as Mr. Keshe has talked about it, as well as elsewhere. You've seen indications. So, and as far as Area 51, President Trump, really doesn't matter. Yeah, there have been, actually there was a comment somewhere I saw is that, well, Area 51 or Area 4, the Bob Lazar thing that, yeah, they discovered out of some digs or something, some old junkers. This is coming from the people who built those crafts. And, so they're looking into it. They won't be able to figure it out because they don't know, they don't have the basic understanding. In the meantime, we'll have contact and we'll be ready to share more of it directly with the people. So, the government, military, and others will do their things. But in the end, it is not about technology. It's about the universal community. So, yes, we need to learn about plasma and build spaceship perhaps and other things like that. But this communication from the community, that's what is what we are looking for, not so much the technology. Yes, we will see some fantastic things, but we'll make it soon too, now that we are learning plasma science. So this is how I think about it. It's not so much the authority figures, because it is the people's progress and people's openness and people's yearning and wishes that makes the change in the field, so to speak, and the communication happens as a result of it, and the manifestation, interaction, communication, and some laughs and other things happen. And perhaps we even do, like as Carolina says, we drink our coffee and tea when we meet. So that's some of my thoughts. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Marsh.
Regarding that, Rick, I just want to say one quick, over the years, they've been putting fear in people about the connection or communication with ETs. And it's like it deep in your mind, you say, oh my God, the UFO, you get all scared instead to be open to communication. And when you were talking about that, I was connecting to my emotions, and I'm like, I get afraid of that communication. I have some experience, and also the point of listening to abductions, and they do these things, or you couldn't. I'm sure someone experienced that you feel frozen, you cannot move when you're in the bed, and I wonder if we need to do a wish to remove that fear and to truly connect to the true universal community, because I think there was a wave of trying to create fear in people to, seen as the bad guys,
Rick,
Hello.
Hello. Rick, can I complete the sentence here of the wish?
For your wish here? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
To thrive.
Do you want that added after love of the soul of the man?
That will take over Gatwa. He will make it beautiful. To thrive in the presence of the Creator.
So is that, sorry, is that part of the previous sentence? I wish for the soul of physicality to be humble enough to accept the gift or love of the soul of the man, to thrive in the presence of the Creator, all part of that sentence?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's open to add or make anything with it.
All right. If anyone has anything they want to add or subtract from that, they can suggest it.
Is like accolade. Sorry, it's interesting when the Signora Caroline called a member of Universal Council. It's few respond, perhaps it's not in, but early I see Ursula and the other guy. This meeting is now optional. It's like for pleasure, for knowing, but it's also contact and linking between the knowledge seekers and the core team, like I say, because when I make one question from Mr. Keshe, saying, "Oh my God, in this meeting, how many member of council it's in?" When I say from this medical device, the last release of medical device nutrition, when I ask Mr. Keshe and saying, "Oh, how many are listening this workshop?" I close the accolade.
Okay.
Don't worry, Rick. Go for it.
I'm just checking messages here. I need to check a few things. Just a minute here.
Read, you're learning be the multitask, making the many things in the same time.
It's true, and it's really hard to be totally present for the things in the moment when your brain's trying to get wrapped around stuff like messages and the various chats and so on. I'm supposed to pay attention here.
I don't want to say I'm sorry because I learned my lesson.
Okay.
Just about aliens and, you know, if they're evil or whatever, I think that's just fake news. It has always been, because last Knowledge Seekers Workshop, the question was asked about the difference between a slave and a servant, and Mr. Keshe made it very clear that if the universal community, if anyone out there was interested, because man is so feeble, they could just come in and take everybody off the planet and put them in chains and have them working around the universe in an instant. We wouldn't have any say in it. So, you know, the proof that they're not evil and they're not, he said it's only, slavery is only on the earth, and everywhere else is service. Voluntary, not forced.
Why would we need to go and work outside this planet when there is so much to do on this planet?
Yeah, we got our plate full.
Well, what this gentleman said before about the connection or communication with the normal people, not with the governments, that's where he said something beautiful, and I think I would love to put a wish to elevate every soul to open to the universal communication, to reinforce that.
Sorry, did you say you want to put it down as a wish here? Could you repeat that? So I didn't quite catch it all. I think she might have dropped, actually. Okay.
He disappeared. So maybe we can have some of the Universal Council support members to bring their activities on the table. I see there are a lot of support councils here. Doc McDonald is English. Jalal is support member for Arabic. John Wells is for US Spanish. Peggy Hunter is supporter for English language. And the rest, I cannot see their title appearing because they're below the line. I know there is Jeanette also. You see Spanish supporter. But I think they have to request to have the microphone opened up because they don't fit in the list of the attendees above. So anybody of the support members would like to share?
Well, perhaps they would get some inspiration if Mr. Keshe would say a few words. I'm wondering.
I was trying to keep Mr. Keshe quiet.
Oh, okay. Sorry to bring up that name. I didn't mean to. Slip of the tongue.
I'm going to give you a little bit of pepper. I'm trying to keep him invisible. I noticed he was there hiding, quiet. We have quite a few celebrations coming up in the foundation, and they always all happen before the end of term. So there is a lot of work on the table for all of you. So, Mr. Keshe, you've been blown out of your shadow. Welcome to the table.
Just quickly, if I may, Doug here. I've been working as much as I can in the background, subtitling and transcribing various things. And it's always been an issue with the voluntary work and my day job, which has taken up so much time and constantly interrupting. But just now, as I'm speaking even, I'm being able to look towards retiring from my day job, and I'll be able to live quite comfortably, not luxuriously, but comfortably, without the need of answering my text messages to go to work at any time, long or short hours, any day of the week, which has always interrupted me. So it's just really fantastic that that's just happening right now. And that'll allow me, apart from maintaining the house and other household duties, I can submerge myself much more fully in transcribing and, and getting a lot of progress done where I haven't been able to. It's been a frustration both for Flint and myself that, we can only do so much at any given time. So again, that's another good news story.
Thanks, Doug. I'll load you up.
Thank you, Flint.
Congratulations. I'm sure it feels really good.
Oh, it feels good. Oh, yeah.
And thanks, Doug, for all the great work you do.
Couldn't do it without you, Flint, I'm telling you.
Yeah, great to hear, Doug. It's been a long time in the making.
Thank you, Vince. I haven't spoken to you for yonks. Yeah, it's been a long time, but the road is opening up. The sun is coming out. I'm exiting the cave, and I'm coming out into the sun. It's fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
Welcome. Now you're going to get more work on your plate.
Yeah, the good news is you're free. The bad news is you're free to do more work.
Me and my big mouth. Let the cat out of the bag now. No, that's just wonderful. That's what I've always wanted, and it's always been a frustration that I can only put in so many hours. But now I can dedicate myself a lot more.
It's not working when you love to serve.
That's
And
right, Vince. Yep.
You can be a voluntary slave rather than an
Oh,
involuntary
hello.
one.
That's where the fun is.
So the delivery times should decrease now, right?
Yes. Yes, Flint.
Just kidding.
If I may say so, this is Peggy. So does that mean, Doug, that we can now get things yesterday from you since you start tomorrow for us?
Yeah, we'll play with the time zone thing. Yeah, it should cut out a whole 24 hours almost. Yeah, for sure.
Lovely, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Flint was mentioning to me, I live on the east coast of Australia, and we're like a giant surfboard here. And everybody lives, most of the people in this country live on the east coast, and there's an old surfing song, hanging 5 toes upon the Malibu. We're all dangling our toes over into the Pacific Ocean and causing New Zealand to rise up, which is why they have so many earthquakes. Anyway, that's just silly. That's a surfing joke.
Yep.
I can hear you. Oh my God, how many patience I needed for this guy understanding. This is what I perceive. It's one of my thoughts in this second is passing through. It's like a joke. No, it's not joke. It's how I feel with Mr. Keshe thinking. I don't know what thinking Mr. Keshe, but I thinking it's thinking. Oh my God, how many patients I have. I don't want to bring in mind of the others. I can't. I don't can't. It's not possible for me right now. It's very dangerous when I thinking, I thinking. When you're thinking what thinking the others, for me it's like playing. It's like a football play game. When one of the players saying or thinking, what thinking the other player in the other team, not only on one point of view, thinking from the other point of view.
I see Carlos, you have your microphone open. Did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Rick. This is Carlos. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. Have been following Keshe Foundation for the past 3 years, and yes, I really appreciate all of the work that Mr. Keshe and Caroline have been doing to guide us through all of these teachings. And one comment that I would like to say is that there's still a lot of work to do. I see that on the government, especially the place where I live, I can see the greed and the companies behind pushing on the government. So we are the ones who have to say the news, express what's going on in the reality in the universe. Many people still have a hard time to understand what's going on and believe all of these UFOs, or you want to call it, universal community. It's hard for them to understand that exists, and not knowing that we are actually part of them already, that we have, the piece of the Creator inside of us, and just expressing that and treating everyone as they are, as part of the Creator, is our work to do. And I'm here to express that, and I am part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Carlos. Any more comments from our UC people here?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, Stella, go ahead. You were cut off there.
What he just said, this gentleman, Carlos, I love it. And I tied up to what Jalal wrote in on the wish, like that's thriving within, with the Creator. And it feels like the sense of separation because we don't feel connected. It's because we don't, it's like we don't identify ourselves like we are created as the Creator, and then being part of seeing yourself, like seeing like you're real in the universal community. You feel like you're not. That's why I said about the fear, because the fear puts you like someone is across the street, I am on this side, and someone is on the other side, instead to be all in the one side. And I don't know how to explain it. I'm going all over, but what I'm trying to say is we suffer from this separation is because all these little things, because we don't see ourselves as the creators, or thrive or thriving within the fields, daily conscious and aware, because we don't take that suit of with sensors of, they have sensor of the fields, and I'm living in this planet. It's a new planet through the knowledge, I don't know how to explain it, but is I'm trying to break this, the seeing ourselves or seeing myself as separated, like I'm going into the knowledge, or I'm leaving the knowledge, I'm leaving the fields, I am the fields. So I don't know if someone can understand me.
Well, I think it's clear to me. I think there's different levels, like we were discussing earlier. And we brought that up in the wishes here before, and the way we make our wishes and the way we interact with our soul and this kind of thing is on a different level. For example, Chor Chab I think it's in YouTube, made a comment just now. He mentions, until now we've spoken on a government level and when we create wishes to stop wars, etc. But if you look on a community level, there are lots of problems on the base of human daily life. Shouldn't we not also spend time on that level? And he also mentions there are things like bad energies, things like black magic and these other guana, abia, voodoo, etc., things with animals like snakes and all of these stupid actions that people do to each other. How can we remove these energies by adding the wish to do so? I have noticed that these actions are able to paralyze whole communities, and it's worldwide. Or what kind of systems can we use? So he's looking at the problems of daily human life and the issues of these so-called bad energies and whatnot, and looking at how do we deal with that. So we've looked at this kind of thing with our wishes before and tried to isolate specific things in specific countries that are going on and provided a wish for that and so on. But as Mr. Keshe reminded us, that when we focus on our wishes for one particular community or culture or country or group, then that sort of negates the others that also need to be elevated at the same time. It's not just if you focus on one group, then that's sort of automatically means you're taking your attention off all the other groups and the other people involved and so on. So I think we were talking once about the elevating those in a certain country, and I think the US came up, and then he said, well, what about elevating those in the US as well, because everyone needs to be elevated. You can't say that, just to do one group. So in that sense, that's probably why we don't focus so much on the problems of the human daily life, because it kind of gets taken care of if you focus on the soul level. So if you give from your soul, that can be enough to make a change, that you don't have to deal with it on all the minute detail of getting into the ins and outs on the human physicality level. Mentioned that before, and Doug came up with the great example of his daughter being influenced without having to get into the psychology and talk to her about this and that. It became some kind of higher connection, a soul connection, you might say, that's where the changes got made, and it was not on the physicality level. There was no voice interaction about it. It became just this beautiful change that occurred due to this inner change that occurred. So perhaps that's why we don't spend a lot of time on that level of the minute details. But on the other hand, those of the Universal Council, or in particular the Earth Council, would have some of these issues that they would get brought up by the people that they're dealing with. So we may need to look at certain things and try to look at them from a more elevated point of view, or in a way to elevate the issues, so that we don't get bogged down in identifying with all the human physicality structure. I don't know if I said that quite right, but maybe you get the idea. And it sure would be nice if somebody would come in and make some comments here about our ramblings, give some clarity, perhaps. Mr. Somebody. I won't mention the name.
Do you call me?
Oh, okay. There you are. Close
Okay.
enough. Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, I speak in that. This Mister, he said, the plants is more intelligent than a human because they understand exactly how they extract the protein with a simple system without efforts. So the intelligent here that you do not spend much energy. So is that exactly what you said?
Uh-huh. As Mark says in the chat, that's what the trophy fish said as he hung on the wall. If only I didn't open my mouth. Thanks, Mark.
You cannot pull his leg, huh?
Fish don't have legs. Okay, let's carry on here. So any of our UC members would like to bring up something to add to? Otherwise, we are at 3 hours and 15 minutes here.
Yes,
And
most probably we're going to have an early closing session. I think it's like the end of the school. We're getting tired, most probably, and that's okay because we saw the children coming out of the schools. So happy that it was just finished for the year. So we are a week and a half away from closing for the trimester. I'm mentioning it because I want to inform that the knowledge seekers don't go searching where are the private teachings or where are the others. The only ones which are staying presenting is Rick on Wednesday morning and Mr. Keshe on Thursday morning. The rest is all going for a peaceful holidays till the 15th of September, I think it is, or 16th.
16th.
16th of September, yes. So next week is our closing down. So if somebody can repost the trimester times and periods, so knowledge seekers put it on your agendas. I don't know if Mr. Keshe wants to come forward before we close down. I think he's multitasking. Mr. Keshe? We are 3 hours into the teaching platform. It doesn't need always to be very, very, very long. We shared a lot of beauties today. We enjoyed our cup of coffees and teas. And maybe for a lot of knowledge seekers, it's a very nice evening, warm, so that they want to enjoy the rest of the evening or afternoon or morning in a nice sunny day. So, shall we call it a day, Rick, for today?
yep, that sounds good. It looks like Mr. Keshe has dropped anyway, so I think he was probably busy in one of his thousands of meetings or something else. In any case, it's probably time to wrap up here. If no one has anything else they'd like to add. Ursula mentions maybe people would like to recharge their batteries in the Oasis Provence. And you can check out the Oasis Provence Facebook site if you want to contact Ursula or get involved with that. And
I would like to bring a last message before we are closing down, as we are in public domain. Knowledge seekers, I know the holidays are starting. Please, if you can be so kind, keep an eye on the animals which are getting dropped off on the sides of the streets or in the parks. You never know. Even if you can't take care of them personally, at least try to get in touch with the health center in the neighborhood, or you can take them to the health center, but please don't leave them abandoned. If you come across them, please do what you can, what is in your possibilities to take care of these animals.
even if it's a manta ray, as we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
Even manta rays need help. So
Caroline, Mr. Keshe is here.
We see more and more animals requesting divers to come and support and help. And they allow, sometimes not easy, but they allow them to take the fish hooks and the fish lines away from their bodies, or turtles, or even sea birds are tangled in the fishing nets. So we can do a lot of difference when we go on holidays to take notice what should and what should not. And at least take care of the animals if we come across them. If they have been dumped or they've been abandoned, don't leave them there, please. Bring them to a safe place, or if you can take care of them, take them home. They're beautiful souls and we should not ignore it. So, Mr. Keshe, as you're bumped back into the platform, do you want to share a message? Otherwise, we are going to close this platform for today.
Nope, I just came in to listen.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everything.
So we can
hopefully we find a better time and place in the next few weeks to do more. Thank you very much. Thanks for all your efforts.
You're welcome. I always thank my team, especially the hosts, the co-hosts, the support co-hosts, because with the internet problems, sometimes the co-hosts or the hosts just lose the control over their systems. We have noticed this in the last 2-3 weeks. It's happening more frequently. And that's why we are putting more people in reserve to assist in case this or something goes wrong. As you heard, Rick, sometimes he has difficulties pulling up documents. It's something that is taking place today. Maybe they're working or reprogramming or whatever is going on. It will sort itself out. Maybe try a good idea to reload or upgrade or update your Zooms and other channels you're working in and see maybe there is a missing link in the system. And I thank you very much, all of you, and the knowledge seekers and Mr. Keshe for being present. And see you next time. Tomorrow is Rick. Tomorrow afternoon is my private class. And Thursday morning is Mr. Keshe. See you all. Bye-bye.
thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you to all the knowledge seekers, and especially those who participated in today's workshop, which is the 85th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace for Tuesday, July 16th, 2019. Okay, thanks to all for attending, and we'll see you next time.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.